Hi, and welcome to Authentically ADHD with me, your host, Carmen Irace. I am a teacher, a life coach, a lifelong learner, and an ADHDer. I created this podcast to create community, to create a place for us to learn together as the newest research comes out about this complex neurodevelopmental disorder. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of Authentically ADHD with me, Carmen. We are talking about goals today because, well, January's coming up, and you know, that whole new year, new me, those kind of trends are going to start, right about now or soon. So it's important that, especially for us ADHDers, that we know how to set goals, why it's hard for us, so we can navigate through those hard times, these different negative outcomes that come from the symptoms of having ADHD. So I'm going to give you my fast 5 tips for navigating goals in the new year. It's going to be a quick episode full of a ton of value, so let's get started. Hey listener, if you're enjoying this show, you should totally subscribe to it so that you can see when new episodes pop right up into your feed. In Spotify, if you go up at the top and hit click follow, it'll notify you every time there's a new episode. Then, really quick, as you're listening to this, right under the follow little bubble, there's a rating bubble. If you could just rate this podcast and give some feedback, possibly maybe answer the poll question that's underneath the podcast, I would really, really appreciate it. I hope that you're enjoying whatever you're doing today or tonight. Have a great one. So, why is it hard for ADHDers to set and achieve goals? As Dr. Russell Barkley puts it so sweetly in his book, we have time blindness, meaning it's really, really hard for our brains, because of our lack of functioning in the prefrontal cortex, it's really, really hard for us to look into the future while taking the past into account. Now, through this episode, I'm going to be using the example of how I used this framework to lose weight and feel comfortable and confident in my own skin. So, it's hard for us because we have time blindness. I made this mistake when I started the programs and thought that I was going to lose all of this weight in 30 days. I was wrong. I needed to have a reality check on my unrealistic expectations, which is the second reason why it's hard for us. ADHDers tend to be a little perfectionist, a little bit. If you agree, me too. Whether it's back end or front end perfectionism, we have unrealistic expectations. So reality check your expectations. And the third biggest reason it's hard for ADHDers is motivation or lack thereof. So that means that AKA dopamine. We have a lack of dopamine, which is the reward and work center. The dopamine doesn't release for us when we do parts of goals, or even when we achieve goals, we don't get as much dopamine as typically developing brained people. So how do we navigate through this? So during my workout journey, actually, if you listen to Exercise and Why It Works, I learned that on my second program, on my 60th day of the body program that I signed up for, it's Beachbody. I also am a coach for that now because I believe in the products. I made it a habit. I found a recipe that made my shakes taste like coffee. And I made it a habit to work out in the morning because I realized that getting that exercise in the morning was upping my dopamine. So, the first thing that I invite you to do is to do a complete thought download. And that just means pull out a piece of paper or two and just write a stream of consciousness, all the things that come to your head when you think about goals. Write everything down and then go back through it to identify the goals that you actually want to achieve. And here's the tricky part. And why you want to achieve them. That's important. And I'll outline why that's important later. But you really need to do a thought download about how you feel about goals. Maybe if you're having a hard time with goals, you don't really like them, I invite you to do a thought download on it. I did that, and it really, really helped me change my mindset about goals. Number 2, the oh so famous break it down. Literally break it down into the smallest pieces. I did this once I realized what I was not doing kind of wrong or incorrectly, or I wasn't achieving the goals I wanted because I was not breaking down the steps of living a healthier lifestyle. It's not just working out. I was still eating kind of crappy. I had to break it down. Literally, the parts of my life, what I wanted to continue, what I wanted to stop. That's when I dropped pop out of my diet. That is when I started eating cereal sometimes as a night after dinner snack instead of ice cream and things like that. So whatever your goal is or whatever your goals are, break them down into the smallest pieces. And just a small little tidbit of advice here. Try not to set more than 3 goals, especially if you're new at this for a whole year. We unrealistically think that we can do way more than we can. We have a hard time looking to the past for evidence to plan the future, okay? Then map it out. It's number 3. Map it out. When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? And how are you going to do it? I did this for my workouts specifically. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do these in the basement. I'm going to do these in the morning before work. And I'm going to sleep in my workout clothes. And I'm going to turn it on and just start moving my body every morning. And it worked. Because, number 4, I motivated myself with my why. And I posted it everywhere. My big why was I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I was living. I didn't like the person I was. And I wanted to change that. That was my big why. So I colored inspirational quotes. I printed them out and I posted them everywhere. And I went on a self-love journey. So motivate yourself with your why. Figure out what is going to motivate you. I like coloring, so that's why I did that. Maybe cool quote things like online motivate you. Print those out and post them everywhere. All right, we're here. Number 5 of the Fast 5 tips. And I'm getting this episode down in about maybe under 15 minutes. That's awesome. Number 5, make it fun. Do things like, if you're doing a small part of it, race the clock. I made some of my workouts fun. A lot of times I make them fun by turning on some music. Make it fun for you. Again, like I always say, make it work for you, not more work for you, okay? That's all for now, my friends. That's my Fast 5 tips for navigating goals in the new year. I will talk to you soon. Stay authentic, my friends. Hey listener, if you're looking for a little bit more in setting and reaching your goals or any other part of my podcast, you have two options below. You can join Focused and we both get a credit to our account, or you can sign up for a free 30-minute coaching call with me in the second link. Do either one if you feel like you want more support in these areas. Thanks. Talk to you soon.